Hey folks, Robbie Payne here again with Chrome Unboxed. Today we're going to be doing, as quickly as we can, an install of Ubuntu Linux with the Unity desktop. And I'll show you, there's some things you can change as far as the way that you type in the commands. If you want to install XFCE, I like Unity a little bit better just because the user interface looks a little bit better, but it is a bit heavier. We'll get into that in a few minutes. This video is going to be chopped up a little bit because there's some stuff that we've got to do in between that just takes time. And so bear with me. I'm going to try to condense it as much as possible. But this is the Acer C720 P2600. This is the white touchscreen Acer C720. I've also got unboxings, and we'll have a review up. Probably not at the time that this video goes up, but shortly after we'll have a review up of this device as well. But I wanted to use something that just came out of the box. It was fresh, it was new, so you knew that I didn't really do anything else to the device. I literally just unboxed it probably an hour and a half ago. So it is new, it's running fresh version of Chrome, so I'm going to take you through each step as it goes. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Lifehacker. There's a ton of sites that give you a walkthrough, but every time I do this, I actually go right back to this one. I've got it bookmarked, and just reminds me the steps I need to go through. And so you could simply do a Google search for, just type in Lifehacker, Chromebook, Ubuntu, or Chromebook Linux, install, those kind of words. It'll be the first thing that pops up as long as you put Lifehacker into that search. Anyway, you'll get this article at the top. We'll see, it is titled How to Install Linux on a Chromebook. And technically you could just follow this because that's all I'm going to do. But I've had a lot of people where I've referred this article to and they still kind of want to see a hands-on version of it. So that's why we're going to this. So I'm going to skip past all the stuff. It's kind of explaining why you want to do this. At this point, if you're searching for this, I'm assuming you know why you want to put Linux on your device. Maybe there's an app or something like that that you're really interested in getting running on your Chromebook, or you want a fuller desktop experience than Chrome OS can offer. There's a very wide arrangement of reasons that people do this. For me, there's a couple specific applications that I need. One of them is a kind of full-on SVG editor, Inkscape, which I hope one day will be made for Chrome OS. And I used to go and use FileZilla as an FTP client in Linux. Now I actually use a service called Cloud9 that is a fully cloud-based coding FTP solution. It's fantastic. I love it very much. So the only thing I really ever use in Linux, when I flip over to it, and you'll see how quick and easy that is as well, the only thing I use is an SVG editor, Inkscape. So to each his own. You may just be wanting to mess around, see what you can do with this guy. So either way, we're going to walk through this and do it step by step. So the first thing, step one, enable developer mode. This is, all these steps are pretty simple, but this is the one that requires pretty much zero code whatsoever. So you'll read in the description here, basically you're going to press and hold escape and the refresh key, which I don't have my keyboard showing here, but right at the top. So escape and then the fourth button on the top row. And it's actually going to reboot the Chromebook into recovery mode. We'll hit Ctrl+D, we'll press enter to continue, and then it takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to show you that. So escape and refresh, I'm going to hold those. And power button. Sorry, I had to get around here. And then it's going to bring up this thing, do not fret, Ctrl+D. So Ctrl+D brings up this screen. It says turn OS verification off. Press enter. That's what we want to do. So we're going to press enter. You'll next be prompted with this screen. OS verification off. We want to leave that alone. Now you can sit here and wait, and I believe it'll beep at you after maybe 30 seconds or a minute, or you can just do Ctrl+D again. And now Chrome is going to realize, hey, you booted into developer mode, and we haven't done that yet. So it gives you a little message. Up in the corner up here, you'll see it's saying that you got 23 seconds. And in here, you're getting local system data. It's transitioning to developer mode. Local data has been cleared. So that's something to note. If you have done anything thus far at this point, you either want to back out. You can turn it off real quick and back out of this. Save your stuff that's locally stored. Most people don't store it locally. Excuse that notification there. And preparing system for developer mode. Okay, and this is going to take some time. I want to say 10 to 15 minutes, usually what this takes. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back when this is done and we'll continue on. Alright, and we're back after that little 10-minute thing. And I want to show you something that does this automatically, but the first time I went through this process I kind of freaked out. So whenever you turn your Chromebook on now, this is what it's going to show. OS verification's off, press space to re-enable. If you let it sit here for a minute, and I'm going to let it do that just so you can hear what I'm talking about, you're going to get this kind of weird like system beep. It's a little strange, so hopefully it'll do that here in just a second. So you hear that. I kind of freaked out the first time it did that with me. I didn't really know what was going on. Now in the future, whenever you do restart, which you don't have to do this very often on a Chromebook, when you do restart, if you want to skip that screen as soon as it begins, as soon as that pops up, you can just do a Ctrl+D and move right past that screen. No big deal. Now, as it said, this is going to completely wipe your Chromebook, so you do have to re-sign in. Fun stuff. Like I said, I want to show you everything, the entire process. And so it's going to be just like your Chromebook's brand new again, for better or for worse. So again, if you do have any local files, whether it be pictures or something you've downloaded, a couple files here or there that you have not saved to drive, you need to make sure and get those things backed up before you start this process. And it does warn you of that, just in case you forget, but it bears repeating. So if you're going to get a new Chromebook and you're going to do this right off the get-go, just do it first thing. That's why I went ahead and did this video now, because really I can't get a feel of how this thing works until I have my Linux set up on it as well. So let's get through. Yes, welcome to Chrome. Good deal. Okay, so we're signed in. It might be a little sluggish here at the beginning because it's going to start installing all my stuff. So it'll take it just a minute to kind of catch up with what we're doing. But while it's attempting to do that, I keep forgetting this is a touch screen and I can just touch it. So like I said before, just Lifehacker, and yeah, I've done this quite a few times, but Chromebook, Ubuntu. Like I said, I've done this quite a few times. I don't have all the steps completely memorized. I wasn't joking when I said I go back to this Lifehacker article pretty much every time. And as I said, there's a variety. So the next thing we're going to have to do, we're in developer mode now, so that's awesome. Step 2, install Crouton. Now Crouton, if you don't know by this point, Crouton is the script basically that's going to install Linux for you. It runs inside of Chrome. So we need to download from this page. I'm going to click this, and this is going to take us to a GitHub, and basically gives you the latest Chrome. It tells you a little bit about it, which is kind of cool too. Things that you want to keep. Now, a good point. 12.04 is what this will install for you. You are free to upgrade. There you can find distributions, and you can find separate things for that if you want to. For me personally, because I'm not using this as a full-blown Linux device, 12.04 is fine. But if you really want to push it, you can. There are guides to how to do that. Where is the download? I missed it somewhere. Sorry guys, it's been a little while since I've done this. Here we go. Grab the latest release. So under usage, like I said, some of this stuff isn't the easiest stuff to find, but when you scroll down, so you got some questions, Crouton, what is it, what is it, what is it, prerequisites, usage, boom, here we go. This should make any of you who are watching this video to do this feel a little bit better. Like I said, I've done this on every Chromebook I've had, but I forget the stuff between. So now you've got Crouton downloaded. That is sitting in your download, so we're done with that. So we'll go back to the article. download it. We're going to Ctrl+Alt+T. Now this is something you will memorize, and you'll learn some of these commands if you start using some of these things quite a bit. So Ctrl+Alt+T is going to bring up the terminal, and so I'll show you what that looks like. Brings us up, gives a thing at the top. Say, don't panic, don't freak out. You made it here probably on purpose, so it's fine, no big deal. You can type help for a list of commands, but the next thing we need to do is shell. And this is anytime you're going to do anything, you need to get into the shell. So come back over here, and it says that there, type shell, and you get into where we were. Next, run the following commands to install Crouton. So we've got this command here, and I can't remember. I don't want to do xfce, and I'm going to try the touch one since I'm using the touch. Oops. Just to see. So I'm going to try to copy this in here. I don't remember if I can or not. Yep, and then you just do a right click, which is a 2-finger tap, and it goes in there. Now, touch is fine, but I want to do Unity. So if you want xfce, do that. I changed this last line here to Unity. So I'm going to do that. We're going to hit enter. Now it gives you a couple things. It says, okay, we're downloading some stuff, we're doing some things. Let's go back over. That's running in a separate window. So to get touchscreen support, you can also do some encryption stuff here. I've never done that. This is again going to take some time, and it tells you about the Unity stuff right here. So right underneath that, you can see change xfce to Unity. And honestly, guys, this is about it. I need to let this go. It's going to take a little bit. This is again takes another 10-15 minutes. So this whole process can take up to 30 minutes. Not because it's difficult, just because it takes time to download and do this stuff. It takes time to get you into developer mode, and then it takes time to download and install Crouton and get everything running. Now after this is over, I don't know. When I first had the HP, I did this with my first Chromebook, and the mouse was almost unusable. You had to almost lay your fingers real flat on it. It wouldn't pick up fingertips. It was really strange. That was wrong, and then the cursor on the mouse would disappear when hovering over certain items. And so it was borderline unusable, especially in Inkscape, which I said before is basically the only thing I use Linux for. My cursor would just disappear on the canvas in Inkscape. So I did a lot of digging that evening, because I knew if I couldn't get that to work, then having a Chromebook was just not going to work out for me, and I really didn't want that to be the case. So I did a whole lot of digging, and I found 2 tutorials, and I'm going to link to all this stuff at the bottom: the Lifehacker article, the tutorials to fix the mouse, all that good stuff. So all those links will be down there in the description. But there were 2 things I needed to fix on the HP. Now, I went through some other Chromebooks, came back to the HP, did the same process, and the mouse drivers were fixed. So I think the guys running Crouton are fixing small things like this. The disappearing cursor was still an issue, but I'll have the links down there. Both of the fixes are actually pretty simple. You just have to get into Terminal once you get into your chosen interface, and I think both of them now come with a terminal. There was a little while that Unity, actually, after you installed it, didn't have a terminal program, so you had to get back out into the shell and do some command line stuff to actually go get a terminal program in order to use it, or do all the installs straight from the shell. So I know all that maybe sounds a little bit complicated. I really don't know my way around Linux at all, other than what I've done with a Chromebook. So if I can learn it, you guys can learn it too. But hopefully, I'll add, like I said, I'll add here in just a second the extra stuff for the mouse, and then we'll be done with this video and be wrapped up. And at least you can get into that, make sure your mouse is working, and you can start using Linux. And I'll show you as well how to at least use the simple terminology to get in Unity. You can download the Ubuntu. I forget what it's called. It's kind of like their app store. And basically it's just a nice front end. Instead of having to use some different commands to get applications, you can use it. So we're going to take another break and let this guy do its thing, and then I'll show you what's up whenever we get back, and we'll work on the mouse. Alright guys, we are back now after actually installing Linux, and pretty much ready to go. I don't know if you can read that at the bottom of the screen, but down here, what it says at the end when it's all said and done, and it does take a good 15 minutes or so, maybe longer, I don't know. I walked away, just kind of came back a couple times. Be sure not to touch the keyboard in the middle of it. That will mess up some stuff, and then you have to do a power wash and start over again. So I'm just trying to save you some time here. At the end, though, it's going to finally get to this point where you have a cursor and it says specify username for primary user. So this will just kind of be your username for Linux. And so I'm going to type in mine, whatever you want that to be, hit enter, and then it's going to ask for a password. And the cursor won't move as you're typing this, so be aware of that. And then it'll ask you to verify it again. Okay, it's going to give you some tips. And then say some things like here it's telling you, again, I'm unsure, depending on the screen you're looking at, you may not be able to read some of this. Saying you can do Ctrl+Alt+Shift back, Ctrl+Alt+Shift forward to jump back and forth between desktops, and it's incredibly handy. So the Ctrl+Alt+Shift buttons are right down in the bottom corner, so hold all three of those. And then these arrow buttons here, if I'm in Chrome OS, you hold all three of those, press forward, and you're into Linux immediately. I'll do that here in just a second to show you. And then you would hit back to go back. If you continue hitting forward, you actually can open up multiple instances of Linux, and so it can get a little confusing. So you definitely want to use back to go back to Chrome and forward to go to Linux. Anyway, once you get to this point, you can just type start. Oh, sudo, sorry. You gotta do sudo everything. Start Unity and hit enter. Well, oh, whoops, sorry. I put a space there. Have it. So start Unity, and if you did XFCE, you just start XFCE. And you're gonna see, boom, we're in Unity Desktop. Now, the cool thing is, again, I'm gonna hold down here on the left, you can't see, but Ctrl-Alt-Shift, I'm going to hold those down, and I'm going to press the back arrow, and that quickly you are back into Chrome. And when you go back, if you see that screen, you can close that once you've started Linux. It's going to ask you if you want to leave this page. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And so you can see we're in Chrome, and I'm going to hold Ctrl-Alt-Shift, forward, bam. I mean, it's that fast. You're back in your desktop. Now, if you did this one, I can't speak for XFCE. It's been a while since I've installed it. If we click this dash home up here, it gives you a search. And before I say anything else, the mouse fix part 1, not necessary here. Mouse works just fine. It actually works really well. I'm just curious to see. Yeah, touch works. Cool. I've not used touch on this yet, so that's pretty okay. So what we're going to do actually is just go up to the top here, click that, and you're going to search for terminal, and I believe either one will work. This is actually just going to give you the command prompt that you could get to outside of shell. In Chrome you can actually do a couple commands and get there. This is just easier on the user interface. And let me grab my Chromebook, the other one. I've actually got this site pulled up. With enough digging you can find it, but unfortunately I can't copy paste from one to the next, so I'm going to set my HP down and just read right off it and type this. Again, this will be in the comment section below, the description, so you can see what it is that I'm typing. So it's sudo cp our share icons DMZ dash. And you'll want to type all this exactly as I put it in the comments below. Space. Just about there. It's going to ask for my password. And that should have done it. So we'll see. Let's open the settings here now. I'll probably have to restart it. Yes, when I log out, then we'll do a new shell. So this is what you'll do normally if you want to, if you reboot it. If you don't reboot, it stays open. So we're in the shell, and we're going to start, sudo start unity. Sudo start unity. Hopefully that took. We'll see. Yep, and now we see we don't get the flickering mouse anymore. It's something with, there's a particular animation or something that it should be drawing on certain things, and it just isn't. And so somebody was smart enough to figure out that was the case, and all that command line did was basically replace that little animation with the pointer. So the pointer never disappears, which is awesome. The last thing I need to show you to kind of get started is if you go back here again and go into your terminal. If you do a little bit of Google searching, you'll see that one of the most important things to do in Linux is to do apt-get, apt-get. And so you want to run that sudo, which I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure some people are going to make fun of me because I don't know Linux that well. But so I'm going to do sudo apt-get, and it is escaping me. I think it's Software Center. Try that. Oh, what I need to do, install, sorry. Cool, that was the right words. Yes, I want to continue. Anything that's going to take up space, it always asks you if you want to continue. So the command is sudo, sudo, apt-get, install, space install, and then whatever you want to install. So, for instance, if in the repositories, Inkscape is a thing I've mentioned a couple times, I use it a lot. I can go through and do sudo space apt-get space install space Inkscape, and it will do this exact process. It will install Inkscape, ready to go, ready to rock and roll it. What I'm showing you here is, once this gets done installing here in just a minute, it's going to give you kind of an app store. Software Center. I said App Store or something like it earlier. This is going to give you the Ubuntu Software Center, and it's basically anything you want. You can just search it, click it, install it. It does it. And it's a nice user interface. You can this will be the last prompt stuff you necessarily have to get with. There are going to be some things that aren't in the Software Center that if you're digging that deep and finding stuff like that that probably doesn't exist there, you probably know what you're doing with Linux anyway. So. Hopefully this will help. We're going to let this go. It looks like it's at 93%, so I'll just let this finish without cutting away here. And we're pretty much done. I'll leave a link to the other mouse fix, but it seems like with Crouton, they fixed the mouse problems, because this is the I've installed it on this one and the HP, so that's two different manufacturers, and the mouse works just fine. So it looks like they fixed whatever those little bugs are. Never had an issue with the Samsung Series 3. Didn't have an issue with the original Acer. So that pretty much knocks all of them out at this point. So this process should work just fine. Sorry, it looks like it's doing a couple other things. Hopefully this will be done in just a second. If this gets painfully long, I will cut away for sure. One other thing to keep in mind, I did not mention earlier, there's one shared folder between the two environments, and that is your downloads folder. So that can come in pretty handy. You can actually work on things between environments as long as you're putting them in that downloads folder. The only problem with that is I believe there are a few workarounds, if I understand correctly. There are a handful of workarounds you can use to get Google Drive working in the Linux environment. Just have not done those. I use workaround, basically working out of that downloads folder until I'm done for the day, and then I just make sure that my downloads folder gets cleaned up. So a lot of times that's just a lot of copy and pasting and moving things to where they need to go anyway. But that's my normal work habit anyway on a Windows machine too. I usually work out of that downloads or a desktop folder or something, and then when I'm done at the end of the day, I usually go and clean all that stuff up. And so if that's the way you work, just that downloads folder is kind of your link between the two. So we're going to go up here and search Software Center. Boom, Ubuntu Software Center. We touch that, and this is going to open up, and should be just a very nice interface. You can search, you can there's categories and all that kind of stuff. We've all used app places. That's what this is about, to give you a simple place to go and install your apps. One thing I would suggest, and a lot of people suggest, is to go in and actually in your settings, under your display, I believe it is, I forget where this stuff is. You want to turn off your screensaver in Linux. From what I understand, it can cause, when it's running in the background, it can start to cause some issues. That may not be an issue anymore. You just don't want to do, it's not dim the screen, never turn it off, no lock. Of course, unless you're going to live completely in this environment, then obviously it's a different thing. Power maybe. Yeah, that's it. So we don't want to suspend anything, which is good. Good to go there. Cool, 2-finger tap does a right click, that's nice. Change desktop background, so this is all familiar stuff. That kind of stinks. I was under the impression there were more of these. Maybe not. There are a couple that are pretty good. That works. Behavior. Let's look under appearance or no, not the same thing. Let's see. Let's see if I can search it. Screensaver. Perhaps it's not in here. I don't know. If you dig around, find screensaver, I would suggest turning it off, just so you don't cause issues. And again, back to Chrome, that quick. And you can always close this. It's going to ask you, yes, you can leave that page. And so, I mean, you can literally be right in the middle of typing something and bounce. I'll say that. Probably can't be actually typing something. Well, that's odd. May have inadvertently logged out or something, I'm not sure. And so my point was, you could bounce right back and forth between the two environments. Something I'm doing is making it upset. I'm not sure what. That's kind of odd. Probably might could use a reset. I've changed a lot of stuff, and so it probably needs to be reset. But in general, you can bounce back and forth. Usually in a normal workday, I may go back and forth 20 times, and a lot of times my instance of Linux is still sitting there long after I'd forgotten about it. And so your mileage is going to vary. You're going to run into some things that do and don't work from time to time, but for the most part, this is the way you can get full working Linux going. and hopefully fill in the gaps until the day that Chrome OS gets to the point where it doesn't need this anymore. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Probably you are too. But hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I do my best to try to get back to people on questions I feel like need to be answered. Please understand if you're asking questions like, can you install Linux on a Chromebook? I'm probably not going to spend the time to answer. I got a lot of questions that come, so I'm not going to spend the time to answer those questions if it's answered in the video. But if you run into some issues, I'll try to help troubleshoot with you. But there's not a whole lot. Usually if something messes up, you do a power wash and start over. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys out. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. There's just going to be more and more Chrome OS, Chromebook, Chrome base stuff coming down the pipe. This is going to be an exciting year, I think, when it comes to Chrome and Chrome OS. And so hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, chromeunboxed.com. There's some more news and tidbits that don't get on the YouTube channel. And so the two together really give you hopefully a pretty holistic source of Chrome news and everything related to Chrome, Chrome OS, Chromebooks, and all the like stuff. So you guys have a good day. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for following. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you next time.